What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats Podcast. I am Wire to Wire Gene. I'm in a hotel room. I'm running off my cell phone, so excuse the sound quality if at all any issues. But right above me is the Prince of Production, the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle the King Edwards. What's up, brother? How you feeling?
Hey, man, I'm good. Anytime I get a chance to be with you guys on here on the Cheap Seats, I'm ready to go. And I think we got some good topics tonight.
Facts. Upper right corner, I got the newest member of the Cheap Seats Podcast, Dylan Reed. Big D. What's up, Dylan?
What's up, guys?
And then in the bottom right corner, the guy sitting right next to me, he needs no introduction, is Jordan Jean-Louis, Big JJL Experience. How you feeling, Jordan?
Man, I'm all the nickname Big J, the JJ Experience. But what's going on, y'all? Gonna have a good show. Happy Monday. Hope everyone had a good day. Let's get started. Let's get to it.
I'm rolling. Well, the first question at night, so we can get rolling right away, is coming to us from the Prince of Production, and that's Kyle Edwards. Kyle, lead us in.
Yeah, so it's basically, if you were running the Portland Trail Blazers, we heard all the stuff of Dame, and they drafted Scoot Henderson. What would be your next, plan of action with the team? What's your decision on Dame Lillard, and how do you, take the team going forward? So very simple. I think we could start with Jordan on this one.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if you saw my message. The audio of my dad is working out, but so I think that he should. I'm tired of the back and forth. He's the ring chasing. I think he should go. I think the only team that's out there right now that's kind of like out for him is Miami.
But remember, you're taking this from the perspective that you run Portland, not if you're.
Oh yeah, I'm. If I can get some draft assets, some picks, some players for him, I'm shipping him out. Because if I'm the organization and I'm hearing my player like Dame saying, "Oh, he wants out, he wants to stay in," I'm like, you got to pick either or, man. So I think the only team that's out there right now is Miami. The question for them is, what are they willing to give up for Dame? So yeah, if I was the organization of Portland, I want to do a rebuild. I drafted Scoot Henderson. I mean, Grant's still a free agent, so we need to rebuild. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. We'll go Gene next.
So listen, it's very rare on this show that you will get me agreeing with Jordan. I think if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers, listen, I'm telling you right now, if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers, there's nothing worse in the NBA than what I call purgatory. When you're in NBA purgatory, and that means you're the 5th through 10th seed in your conference, you have no chance of winning, but you also have no chance of getting a top-tier pick. They had the 3rd overall pick. They end up getting Scoot Henderson, which is huge, but you're in purgatory. You have to rebuild. There's nothing that you can do with an aging superstar like Dame Lillard. His asset value is as high as it's going to be going forward. It's not getting higher. It won't be higher after this year. You won't be able to acquire more assets for him after this year. And if you're not going to win a championship, what do you play the game for? So what you're looking at right now is a situation where Portland can build around Scoot Henderson and they can trade Dame Lillard for as many assets as possible. They have plenty of money. They have Anthony Simons. They can build around a 2 and a 3 that can really forecast your future in Portland. So that to me is simple. I'm trading Dame. I'm probably going to trade him to Miami, and I'm going to get as many assets as possible. Pair him with a Tyler Hero. It makes too much sense to me. I don't know why they wouldn't. I think this I've been calling it all off season. Dame to Miami. Said it since the first show.
Okay. Well, Dylan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to really beat a dead horse, but yeah, they should obviously rebuild. if they were going to build around Dame, trading that third pick was something that they probably should have done. That was going to be probably, honestly, their most valuable piece, regardless of how you feel about Scoot Henderson or not. That was still a very, very valuable piece that they should have traded before if they were going to get something for Damian Lillard. Now, a package of Anthony Simons and Nasir Little and some picks probably wouldn't seem very enticing to get any big star on that team. Even with Scoot Henderson, I feel like you're going to still have some, you're going to have to get him acclimated to the NBA level. It's not like he's going to be the star-studded talent. There's some potential. I mean, obviously, there's some rookie flashes and definitely things like that. But overall, like, you're betting a lot on him and Damian Lillard combo to be something championship-worthy if you took him at 3, regardless of trading the pick. I think obviously Dame should try to go to a championship contender team. I think Miami's the biggest pick. It's obviously the favorite. It's probably where he should go. I mean, I've been hearing rumblings about the Nets as well too, but I'm not sure if a lineup of Damian Lillard and Mikal Bridges is something championship worthy, even though I really like Mikal Bridges. But yeah, you should rebuild. You have young building blocks. Even if you don't decide you don't even want to keep Anthony Simons, he's someone you can still trade to get even more pieces, even if you want to go under more of a full rebuild and make Scoot that lead point guard there. Clear the books out of your cap. But overall, if you were going to do something with Dame, it should have been now. You should have traded that pick. You should have done something. When all these rumors were happening about you getting Zion or Paul George or all these things, you should have done one of those things. You kind of passed that window, so now see what you can get for Damian Lillard to build around this player that you just picked with the 3rd overall pick.
I'm going to argue with you a little bit, though, and I love you. I really do. But I don't think that they should have traded for Zion Williamson. Why?
I was saying names, just saying names that was out there.
No, and I get what you're saying. I think what they did was correct. I think that they're holding out for the best offer. They shouldn't be in any rush. And I think you trade Dame. You want to do right by him. You want to be able to give him options on where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. He's done right by your franchise, but you trade him. That's why they're meeting today. I guarantee you that's why they're meeting today, is to figure out the right trade scenario for Dame today.
Yeah, before Kyle goes on, you have to feel bad for Dame, man. The elite talent that he has.
I don't feel bad for him at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, it's just the way that front office has this like structure that I know him and McCollum were there. He got moved to New Orleans. I mean, Yusuf Nurkic was always out. They had no true center. I mean, Grant's there, but he's a free agent. So it's like, if I'm Dame, I want out. I mean, he say like before the draft that if they draft Scoot, he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. So
he said that, and then he peeled it back.
He always does that, man.
Because he doesn't want to be seen as a bad guy by asking out.
Yeah, he doesn't.
So he'd rather Portland do the trade.
I get he wants to do the Jordan route, stay loyal to one team, but that's not going to work in this NBA.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault the guy for having loyalty, but at the end of the day, it's his fault. It's his fault. He wanted to be loyal to Portland. He wanted to be one of those players that stayed there for a grind, kind of in a Giannis way, kind of in a Jokic way, different things like that. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. And you gotta, if you're a fan of Damian Lillard, you gotta like Damian Lillard's loyalty, but also at the same time, it was his biggest fault in his career, being loyal for so long.
I mean, you can call it a fault. I think you guys all overvalue what Dame Lillard means to a team. Yeah. Nothing against the guy. I just think what you guys all do is the same thing. I feel bad for him. The guy played with C.J. McCollum. The guy played with LaMarcus Aldridge. The guy played with Yusuf Nurkic. He's played with people throughout his career. He hasn't won. Call it what it is. He's a good player. He's a very good player. Is he a superstar? Yeah, I mean, at his peaks, he is a superstar. But he's definitely not good enough to carry a team to the championship. I'll tell you right now, I don't think there's any team in NBA history, not NBA history, but I don't think there's any team that Dame Lillard can carry as the best player to win a championship. I just don't believe it. I don't believe any team that has Dame Lillard as their best player will be an NBA champion. It's just the truth.
Yeah. Actually, that's where I was going with my answer. Because, Freddie says it will work. He has to be the right team.
Okay. Wait,
my problem, I guess for Damian Lillard, if you send him to the right team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But my thing has always been about Dame Lillard when people would be like, oh, he needs to get out of Portland to win, and Portland's doing this disservice and all this kind of stuff. Lillard is a really good scorer. Don't know if that leads to a title. When he and CJ were together, the unfortunate thing was, I think when you build around two kind of smallish guards, you don't win that way. Everybody, Portland, I think, tried to do, they saw like Steph Curry leading Golden State to a title. They figured Dame Lillard was that type of guy. I think what they've finally started to realize is he's not necessarily at Steph's level, plus Steph's surrounding cast, fit with him perfectly, whereas Portland's just never was able to do it with Lillard. Gene said it. He played with LaMarcus Aldridge when LaMarcus Aldridge was one of the best four men in the league. CJ McCollum was seen as, he and Lillard were seen as one of the best backcourts in the league. There's been Portland teams that have been seen as some of the deepest teams in the league. So maybe he's just like Carmelo Anthony. Really great player, just wasn't good enough to win a title. And I think Lillard fans and NBA fans probably just have to kind of come to grips with that. But to answer my own question, I'm shipping Lillard out tomorrow. We've done this song and dance with him. He was great for the community. Love that about him. But I own Portland. I'm trying to win a title. I got Henderson. We move on with Henderson, Simons. If you want to bring him out, Jeremy Grant, knock yourself out. If not, start the process over again. And hopefully Scoot Henderson is a guy you can kind of find the pieces around to win a title. So I'm trading him too.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing about the Portland. I think that a lot of Portland fans, and I know Chauncey Billups is a terrific player, back in the day, but they thought that them getting Chauncey Billups kind of would move the needle as far as maybe getting talent to Portland. But I don't think that Chauncey is enough as a coach. But at the time they were, oh yeah, Chauncey Billups, yeah, we're gonna be a contender in the West. But I don't know, maybe that's my take on it at the time.
Let me ask you a question, though, real quick. Just as we're talking, who had more talent on their team, Dame Lillard or Jimmy Butler in Miami? Jimmy Butler took that team to the finals. Let's stop lying to ourselves and pretending that Dame Lillard just doesn't make players around him better. He's a great scorer. He's a great player. But he's in that 8 through 15, 8 through 20 range in the NBA. He's not great enough to lead a team to the finals. And like I said earlier, he'll never be the best player on a championship roster. And that's just all there is to it. Sorry. Portland needs to move on.
Yep, I agree.
Fair enough.
Everybody in chat saying send him to Miami, which is basically what we said. So yeah.
Yeah.
If
he wants to win a
Miami.
ring, that's the best case scenario. It's probably going there.
But you can get a lot from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You'd get definitely Tyler Hero probably.
And Tyler
That's another
Hero's
good piece to go with Scoot.
Correct.
Yep. All right.
I guess that's what we got for there. We go with another NBA question for question number 2, and it leads right into this. Dylan, go ahead, fire away.
So thinking about after, of course, the NBA draft is over, thinking about NBA free agency, it's not a big pool of talent, I would say. Of course, we don't have big X factor free agents really necessarily in this year's free agency class. Also, we don't have a lot of teams with a lot of money. But with that being said, in this free agency class, who do you think could be a sneaky free agency signing that a team, let's say that's kind of at a mid-level, or a team that's close to getting to a championship level aspect could do, or a player that they could sign that might set them over that bar or make them at a point where you'd be like, okay, this team could definitely compete and shock a lot of teams this year. So with that being said, we'll start with Kyle.
Yeah, I was going through the free agent list, and it's not that great. So I kind of took it as, if I was a contender looking for a guy who could possibly get us what we need, maybe to win a title. I don't know if this is going to be a popular name. I saw Joe Ingles out there. Now, barring the injury and all that he had, if you look at Joe Ingles as a guy who comes off your bench in, today's NBA, he shoots really efficient from 3. He can run the point for you off the bench. I felt like he's a guy, if you're a contending team, need backcourt help, he's a guy I would look at. I could easily have gone with one of the bigger names, but because I look at under the radar type of signing, I think Joe Ingles is probably that type of guy. because it's obvious to say like Kyrie, or I mean, I wouldn't say Kyrie, but like Middleton or whatever. But I think Ingles will be a guy who will contend, who will contribute to a contending team next year, for sure.
It's not a bad look. And honestly, I read this question so much differently than Dylan like just said it. So I'm kind of reevaluating my answer as a whole. Dylan, you want me to go next, or you want Jordan?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you need to think, that's fine. But it's
I gotta-
whoever's.
So
I think
let me tell you where my head went, right? And I know it's not under the radar like what you said. What I think would be a perfect offseason for the Dallas Mavericks would be to bring in Draymond Green and Chris Middleton. I've argued for years that it's very tough to find people to play around Luka Doncic. You have an offseason with two players that are perfect to build around what Luka does. And you can literally fill your 3 and your 4 with Chris Middleton and Draymond Green. Now, as far as an under-the-radar player that can help a championship team, guys, it's perfect. It's Josh Hart. It's always been Josh Hart. Josh Hart is that glue guy that can do a lot of things for a lot of rosters. He plays defense. He is unselfish. He can pass the ball well. He's a hustler. He's going to be a great chemistry guy, a great team guy. Look what he did to the New York Knicks last year. Y'all forget the New York Knicks were just an average to below average team until Josh Hart got traded there around the trade deadline. And that team went on a run.
Good
and
point.
everyone talking about Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle and all these other guys. But Josh Hart is that glue guy that puts it together for a team. So Josh Hart is the guy. And then the last one, little sneaky one I want to throw in there. Look out for Jordan Clarkson to be a backup point guard for the 76ers. If James Harden leaves, like I expect him to, I think all this is pandering. The 76ers are going really hard to get James Harden. I think the Philadelphia 76ers could bring in a Jordan Clarkson as that instant offense when Tyrese Maxey leaves the court, and then bring yourself in. I think Tobias Harris will be traded, and then they can bring themselves in an extra player like a Jeremy Grant. I could see this happening, and I think Jordan Clarkson is a guy that reminds me a lot of Lou Williams. Comes off the bench, can spark that second team offense and get you some offense while your stars are on the bench.
Okay.
All right. Up to you, Jordan.
So Dylan, are we talking about like for our team?
And just overall.
So I think a surprise pick would be, I know Jeremiah Grant is probably going to sign back with Portland, but I like to see Lakers make a move at him. A good, young player who can slash, shoot. He can play the 4, the 3, and a sleeper. I was looking at my phone for the available free agents. I was going to say a sleeper. Steph Curry. Obviously his best days are behind him, but he can still shoot the 3. He can still, make plays. So that's a sleeper. But my top one was Jeremiah Grant, but he's not going to end up back in Portland with their rebuild process. That's a good fit for Lakers. I think he's a good stretch guy who can, slash, create plays. You're still young, like in his late 20s. I would not be sad about that trade. So yeah, I mean, but like you said, the market's not really like as like oh wow, like I want that player off the bat, So that's my surprise player, Jeremiah Grant.
I just think it's funny that you took this and turned it right into a Lakers talk. I got news for you, bro. You can get the top 4 free agents and have them all go to LA, and they still won't win a championship. That team stinks.
Well, Kyle picked the Celtics, right? So for your teams, oh, you did?
I just said Joe Ingles is a guy who, I have my Celtics wish list, but I didn't use it for this one.
Oh well.
Yeah, I get it, bro. I get it though. You want the Lakers to be good. Listen, they can get any player in this free agency class, and their team's still gonna be ass. So,
although Dylan didn't like my pick of Joe Ingles, though.
I mean, Joe Ingles is an interesting pick. He's also on the older age. He's like what? What's Joe Ingles? 35, 36.
He's a guy.
Well, I feel like Jeremiah Grant would be a good addition for any team, to be fair. So I said the Lakers, but he's a hot free agent right now. So
I agree with that. I just said him. I agree with that.
So, I mean, Jeremy Grant's a good pick. Jeremy Grant's someone who I thought was going to be sneaky. I don't know where he's going to sign. I'm not sure how much he's really asking for. I don't know what the Portland Trailblazers market is on him, if he's someone they want to re-sign or if he's open to other offers. But I think he would definitely just be a good power forward who can space the ball. Definitely has some decent rebounding skills. A good scorer. Definitely is kind of streaky when it comes to his performances, but is still really good overall. I thought he played well at Portland. I didn't think it was anything like over the moon. Overall, I think he'll be good. Someone like Jakob Podol as well, a center who can get you a pretty good double-double a night. I think he'll be a good piece on any championship contender. I know he's, like 7 foot, so that's pretty good size-wise. I feel like he's someone who won't be asking for a lot of money, but someone who can get you a good 12, 13 a night with 10 rebounds. A center's a really big piece that a lot of teams don't have a great player of a lot of times nowadays in this NBA. So I think he would be a very underrated signing. And then I have questions about someone like Mike Conley. I feel like he could be a good veteran point guard on a lot of teams, but also when you get to this point, he is, of course, on that older age of 35. You have some questions about him. He didn't really have, I would say, the best of time at Minnesota, but overall he did really good there. I'm not sure how much he's also going to be asking for. It's weird when you get to a lot of these veteran guys, you don't know if they're going to take a little bit less to get onto a championship contender team or if they're going to take a little bit more because they value themselves. We obviously saw what a point guard like Chris Paul just went for in a trade with the Warriors, like Jordan Poole, a couple of picks. So it's going to be very interesting. Those are some guys I like. I liked Naz Reid a lot, but he ended up re-signing back with Minnesota, so I kind of had to write him off. I thought he was a really good center.
It's a terrible re-signing.
For a lot of money. I thought he would be good elsewhere. I don't know why Minnesota gave him as much money as they did. They could have definitely used that somewhere else.
Minnesota's trying to start 5 centers.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then,
what are we doing in Minnesota?
And then just for a fun name, Kelly Olynyk. He's obviously a good scorer. He did have a good season with the Jazz, I would say.
What?
I think I would not
say Kelly Olynyk is a good scorer.
Not like a great, super good scorer, like elite, but he's someone who has like good scoring potential. I mean, at least a good fit guy as a veteran in a lineup. He would, if you had him off the bench. Like, he didn't score horrible in Utah this year. He had good moments.
Bro, I love you, bro. I think you're very, very smart. I think you're very intelligent. But please don't tell me a guy that averaged 10 points for his career, 12 points on a Utah team in which he started 68 games is a good scorer.
Okay, in a Utah team that's not looking at him as like a great number one option. I mean, I'm saying for like a veteran signing, someone that you're going to probably sign for $8 to $9 million a year on some of these championship contender teams. It's probably a pretty good signing to get someone like that off the bench scoring wise.
I wouldn't give Kelly Olynyk $8 to $900,000.
Fair enough.
That's a
stinks,
Dylan,
bro. I don't
that's a statement that I
would
would make, Dylan.
He's a dirty player. He stinks. Listen, Dylan's one of the smartest people I ever get.
Yeah, I like Dylan, man. You're cool, man.
But I cannot, for the life of me, understand why Kelly Olynyk got any play on this show. And I think I have a little hate towards him because he's a very dirty player. He grabs people by the arm. He tries to pull their arm out, like the thing he did with Kevin Love. I'll never like Kelly Olynyk.
Oh, yeah,
I never like him. I'm a little bit of a hater, so excuse me for that.
Fair enough.
Another player I was looking at the list, Harrison Barnes. I think the Kings might want to keep him, but he's like that. I mean, he's still in the league. He's still like that perimeter shooter that a team could use. So I'm not gonna say my team because I'm gonna be again.
Bro, you can't sign every free agent.
I'm joking, man. I'm joking.
Just sit in this room like we're gonna
just for fun.
I just want G-Nag get a reaction.
Jordan, we actually have 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes. Jordan, let me ask you a question real quick.
Oh shoot, man.
I just want to understand this a little bit. If you could give me the perfect Lakers offseason, like what free agents are they signing? I just want to know. I'm just super curious.
I mean, well, technically, if you want to say Reeves and Hachimura, I want to sign them first.
Okay, so we're gonna get Reeves and Hachimura. Are we doing anything else?
That's your free agency.
No, Dylan.
Not really.
All right, you got Reeves and Hachimura. What else we doing?
I'm getting rid
We
of.
just run.
I'm
We
getting
just
rid
running
of.
it back.
I'm getting rid of Russell.
Okay, you're getting rid of D'Angelo Russell.
Malik Beasley. He wasn't really
All
a
right.
contributor.
Okay.
I'm keeping Schroeder. Might be like he's a good defensive backup point guard.
Okay. So who we signing?
Well, I mean, he was available. I mean, I might have to do a trade or.
You have the whole list in front of you, bro. We just talked about it. So
Dylan
the
Brooks,
Lakers.
I got the league. Jordan Clarkson.
So you gonna sign Dylan Brooks and Jordan Clarkson?
No, I'm just naming the players I see.
Jordan, I just need to understand, bro. I'm giving you the perfect offseason for the Lakers. You tell me who the Lakers signed with that perfect offseason. So you went with Austin Reeves and Rui.
That's the priority.
Okay, their priority. Now who else are you adding? You're just losing D'Lo and losing Malik Beasley and not adding anything?
Oh,
let me know who you're adding.
Jordan Clarkson. I take him.
All right, so you're adding Jordan Clarkson.
I do like Brooks Lopez. He's a good backup. He can be a backup center for AD.
The defensive player of the year could be a good backup center. I got it.
I did want Naz Reid, but I didn't like that contract. I was surprised that they.
Did you just say the defensive player of the year could be a good backup center?
I mean, well, he's gonna replace AD, or I don't know.
No, bro. Man. I'm just trying to understand. You want to sign Brooke Lopez to be a backup center? Just help me help you.
I mean, so okay. So say if we get Brooke Lopez, right? Is he an automatic starter? I mean, because it's going to be the point guard.
What are you signing Brooke Lopez for?
Yeah, what are you signing Brooke Lopez for? The thing is, you can't sign Brooke Lopez. What is he going to play? Why would he play backup? He just won Defensive Player of the Year. He's starting.
And they got knocked out by the Miami Heat.
Okay, and he won Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm not saying because of him.
Shai Gilgeous was NBA All First Team, but he got knocked out in the play-in.
Right, who's going to back up? Who's going to back up on AD?
The point is, Brooke Lopez as Defensive Player of the Year is not going to take that role necessarily.
We had Mobamba. I mean, he didn't do anything.
Why don't we get Shaq at his prime to come back? What do you think?
Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, I don't know. You could go sign like Dwight Powell. That's a good backup. That's a reasonable one.
I mean, hey, Freddie you can put him at the put 80 at the 4 and have.
Are you just reading Freddie's comment?
No, you want to put DeMarcus Cousins back in the mix? That's not a Lakers move.
All right, bro. I'm done. I'm sorry, Jordan. I just need to understand what the because you just said for the Lakers they could sign Jeremy Grant and they could sign Jordan Clarkson and they could sign he said something about Jordan Clarkson, Jeremy Grant said third player. He goes, that'd be a good sign. I don't want to be a homer. I think you should bring in Derrick Rose. That's the pick right there. I love that. I think that's what the Lakers should do. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Derrick Rose. That's your offseason. And that's all you have money to do.
I'm just saying, who would be AD's backup?
I don't know, bro. You can't have AD, LeBron, Rui, Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, Derrick Rose, and just afford to just sign a Defensive Player of the Year to be AD's backup. You can't do that. That's not how it works.
Sign like Cody Zeller. I don't know, Blake Griffin. Those are like people you can get as a backup center. Derek Favors.
Blake Griffin's dead, bro.
Dario
Go get Dwight from China, bro. He's ready to come back.
I don't want Dwight, man.
Hey, he's a three-point shooter now.
Throw JaMychal Green some money.
All right, we're gonna roll into the NFL now. I honestly, if I'm the Lakers, I would just take Jordan's plan. That's the way to go. All right, we're gonna roll into the NFL. I love this question right here. Is this me? This is me, right?
Yep.
I love this question here. So I'm gonna read it to you as I scripted it, right? Last year, we've seen a lot of players go from good to great. We've seen players go from okay, like fair, to good. And we've seen players fall off an absolute cliff. And in the NFL, this happens every year, right? Just an example, last year, we were talking about Jalen Hurts could be an NFL starter, and he finished second for NFL MVP. That's an example of a player that went from good to great. We can also talk about Devontae Smith. I'm an Eagles fan. I'm giving you two examples. A guy that went from fair his rookie year to good and is a promising young wide receiver. But we can also talk about players that fell off a cliff. Tom Brady fell off a cliff last year. Obviously, offensive line issues, Matt Stafford, injuries, but we're going to talk about players that could fall off a cliff. So give me 3. Good to great, fair to good, and falling off a cliff. Kyle, because I know you're prepared, start us off.
All right. I guess I got to redeem myself from Joe Ingles. Okay, so good to great. I'm thinking Justin Fields goes from good to great. And I think a lot of people put him in the good category, not necessarily because of his talent, but, the pieces around him, he didn't really get to show his true ability. I think the Bears have made some moves to improve the team. I think DJ Moore is a great get. So I think we see a much better Justin Fields this year. So he makes the jump. For average to good, this one I had to think about. I went Donovan Peoples-Jones because I think with Watson improving over the offseason, he's not the go-to guy in Cleveland, so I think he'll have a really good season playing off of Amari Cooper and I believe Elijah Moore. So I think Donovan Peoples-Jones will be ready to take another step up into at least, people's minds when they think of wide receiver groups. I think he takes a jump off a cliff. It was kind of tough to find somebody, but I was thinking Alvin Kamara I could see on the decline. They drafted Miller down there from TCU, who I really like, so I think he's going to get some touches. They brought in
Jamal Williams.
Yep, they brought in Jamal Williams, who I feel like will take touches away from Kamara. Kamara's had some injury concerns the past couple of years. So I think he's the one who will probably look back and say, probably falling off the cliff.
I love those answers. I have 3 super bold answers, and I will go last because of that. Dylan, give me yours. Start with good to great, or start with complete drop off. Use the average to good for the middle.
So good to great. This was a rough question to think about because you never know who really is going to be one of those dudes to step up. So thinking good to great, I gotta probably say, where is it at? I gotta say Garrett Wilson probably. I think he's gonna have a big role in this. I'm sorry,
no.
Gene.
This is the
I'm
blooper.
sorry, Gene.
It's a TikTok blooper right here, man.
No, it's not. It's not a blooper at all. He stole my answer. I'll tell you right now.
I've got to say Garrett Wilson. He's going to have a way bigger role in this offense. Obviously, winning Rookie of the Year definitely puts a bigger. I wouldn't say chip on his shoulder, but it definitely gives him a little more time to shine. It gives him a little more limelight. He's going to have more eyes looked at him, so he's going to have some bigger shoes to step into. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a great quarterback to him. He's someone who can separate very well, which is something Aaron Rodgers likes in his receivers. He's going to be the number 1 in that offense. He's had time to work with him in the offseason. I think he's going to be a great connection. I think he's going to separate himself from a lot of these other receivers, even from that draft class, from like a Chris Olave or different like that. I think he's going to be on one of these upper echelon tiers of receivers. I see something around 1,400 yards and just shocking this season, kind of like how Devonta Smith did, just boom, out of nowhere. And then
I love that answer.
So from we're going good to great, and so this is from what average to good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So average to good, I am going to go with Samaje Perine, the running back for the Broncos. He's someone I really liked in that offense with the Bengals. Kind of got overshined by Joe Mixon a little bit, which wasn't really great, but the times that he did play was really good. When you think of this Broncos offense, you think Javonte Williams. I think he's still struggling with his injury, so a lot of this running offense from when it comes to receiving or even catching the ball is going to be looked at through Samaje Perine. I think he's going to have some big shoes to step into, and I think he's going to shine. I think he's someone who, when he can get going, he can get going well. He does struggle a lot of times to get going, but he's going to be the starting back in a role. I do think for a couple of weeks, I don't think Javonte Williams is supposed to be back yet. I haven't really heard, ACL injuries are always very tricky, very weird. There's different recovery times and different things like that. So I think Samaje Perine is going to be one of those dudes who, if we go later into the season, if he's like top 10 in rushing, that's not something that's going to be maybe super surprising. And then so falling off a cliff, this is tough. It's really hard to predict, teams that do worse. Trying to think. Falling off of a cliff. Also, I like for average to good Isaiah Rodgers, the Giants receiver.
Okay.
Falling off a cliff. I'm not. I was picking. I liked Alvin Kamara, but I'm not gonna go with that. I'm trying to think. Falling off a cliff. Man.
If I could give you a hint, brother, and this is because you've given such two great answers already. Think running backs, man. Running backs
Yeah,
fall off a
that's
cliff
what I'm
more
thinking.
than
That's what
anything.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking. That's what I'm going through. Man, I don't want to say Aaron Jones. I think he'll be fine. I don't want to. I'm maybe going to say Josh Jacobs. I'm going to just say Josh Jacobs because I don't believe he'll have the production that he will have from last year. I think this is an interesting Raiders team. You don't know really what direction they're going to go on offense. You have questions with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think a lot of this offense is going to be looked at through Josh Jacobs, and you have a lot of film on how he did last year. I don't think there's going to be a lot of holes in this offense from even pieces from that offensive line still. You have questions with Jimmy G. I just don't think he's going to have as productive as a season as he did last year. So I think Josh Jacobs is someone who could fall off a cliff, not maybe massively in a way where he's going to be like a bottom tier running back, but fall off a cliff where he's not going to have anywhere near the production he did last year.
Okay.
All right.
Jordan, start us off, brother.
So the first one was good to great.
Yep.
So this is a big. I'm giving this dude credit. This year, so you better prove me right. So for good to great, I'm doing Michael Thomas. If he can, and I'm saying this. The reason why I said that before is because if he can stay healthy, he can. He has Derek Carr. He still has Chris Olave, obviously. I feel like if he can stay healthy, he can be maybe in the top 10 receiving corps this year.
Bro, I can't.
But he has. But listen, he hasn't. The reason why I was kind of iffy about picking him because he hasn't really been healthy. So average to good, I think, or average to what was it? Average to
good. You got it.
average to good. See, I wasn't gonna put Brees Hall instead of Michael Thomas, but I'm gonna put Brees Hall in the average to good. I think that he can be in that great category. It's just he was hurt. He's coming back from the ACL injury. But I think that he has Aaron Rodgers. He has that new offense. So I think once he gets healthy and back on the field, he's gonna produce for the Jets. And I think a guy that's gonna fall off is Matt Stafford. He's 1 injury away from
He fell off.
his. Well, if he hasn't already fallen off, he's gonna fall off soon because he's 1 injury away from ending his career. He had that Super Bowl, that Super Bowl hangover. They got blown out by the Bills first game of the year. It wasn't really all on his fault. But they're gonna say, Matt Stafford, has, Cooper Kupp and he has, Odell Beckham and all that, and Cam Akers. So I think he's 1 injury away from falling off in his careers. I was gonna put 2 up there too with the concussions, but he has a better offense than the Rams, like in Waddle and Reed. So
So
I have Michael
Jordan,
Thomas,
thank you for
Brees Hall.
successfully going 0 for 3 on these picks.
Huh?
I said thank you for going 0 for 3 on these picks. I appreciate that.
I'm about to
I
say
don't think
Michael
Michael
Thomas would have
Thomas-
been a good guess for fall off a cliff.
Falling off. But I think he fell off too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell.
He got
off the cliff
got
already.
injured falling off that cliff.
I have a bunch for each category. I'm going to go from falling off a cliff first. Just look at the running backs, guys. Dalvin Cook, done. I don't care where he goes. His legs are shot. Those knees are gone. Here's a bigger one for you. Derrick Henry, done. I mean, I've seen it at the end of last year. His legs are just not there. Derrick Henry is just completely shot. I think Derrick Henry won't even eclipse 1,000 yards this year. Just understand that now. As far as quarterback position of falling off a cliff, and I'm going backwards for a reason. I'm going to tell you why. But as far as a quarterback position of falling off a cliff, I think Derek Carr is going to have an absolutely awful season in New Orleans. People think that the New Orleans team is going to be good. You have a defensive head coach, and you're going to try to run the offense with just Chris Olave. I don't know what to tell you. I think Alvin Kamara is a great pick also. Average to good. here's a tight end that I think could finish number 2 or number 3 in tight end overall production. It's David Njoku. You want to look at a perfect prime example for a player to go from average to good this year. It's David Njoku. Njoku's got Deshaun Watson over there in Cleveland, full off season. He's never had a real quarterback that can get the ball to the tight end. Deshaun Watson can do that. I also want to give you a guy that I think is going to go from someone you haven't heard of much to someone that is going to be good this year and is going to be very relevant, and that's Justin Ross. Most people don't even know who the hell I'm talking about, but the Chiefs took a flyer on him as an undrafted free agent. He redshirted the whole year to recover from injury. If you watch Justin Ross at Clemson, you understand how much of a problem this kid can be. I think he could be a Tyreek Hill-esque player on that Kansas City Chiefs team. And I think the reason they let Juju walk and they haven't signed a wide receiver this year in free agency is because they know that. Another option from good to great is Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco is going to walk into this season as an RB 18 through 20 in a lot of fantasy drafts and listed as a bottom tier running back starting in the NFL. And I think Pacheco can absolutely dominate this year in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now let's go from good to great. Here's a bold prediction, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I think Garrett Wilson is the number 1 receiver in football this year. Let me just say that again. Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year with Zach Wilson throwing him the football. Are you guys not watching? This kid ran all over the field, and now he's going to have the most accurate quarterback in the NFL throwing him the ball. Garrett Wilson is going to be an absolute stud. Bino keeps saying Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard has somewhat of a breakout year, but I do not think it'll be as high as people think it will be, strictly because I think he's a great change of pace back. I don't think he's a bell count back. I just wanted to reply to what he said there. But Garrett Wilson, I feel like, is the perfect candidate from good to great. Justin Fields is another one. I've already viewed him as great. But I feel like what you've done is you've brought him to a team where you have a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2, and a wide receiver 3 by adding DJ Moore. They solidified that offensive line. I really believe that Justin Fields has a breakout year and takes another jump from good to great. And then the last one, I forgot this one from fair to good, but I think that this guy has a potential to go from fair to great. It's Terrace Marshall of the Carolina Panthers. I think that people look at that Adam Thielen signing and they see a target for Bryce Young. I think Terrace Marshall absolutely blows up in that Carolina Panthers offense this year. I think the connection between him and Bryce Young will be incredible, and I think Terrace Marshall is one of your breakout wide receivers this year.
I really like the David Njoku pick a lot.
Yeah, I think between
he
him and Peoples-Jones, I think one of those guys has to blow up with Deshaun Watson this year.
I think a lot of people forget that the Cleveland Browns. I didn't agree with the Peoples-Jones one, and it could be accurate, but I didn't agree with that one because of a very under the radar signing that the Browns made this offseason that a lot of people don't know they made. Do you know that their slot wide receiver is Elijah Moore? And I think that a lot of people give Elijah Moore a lot of crap, and they don't realize that he played in New York with awful quarterback play. This is a first-round wide receiver with unbelievable talent. I really believe Elijah Moore would be that option instead of Peoples-Jones.
Didn't they trade like a second-round pick for him? They believe in him. They traded some capital.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Pollard is not an every down back. He's nice. He's not a 1,500-yard bat. I agree.
Agreed. He's definitely one of those guys that are good in spurts when people don't expect him.
I mean, listen, I don't know if Bino is a Cowboys fan or if he's really high on Pollard, but either way, I get it. I understand that. I think he is a Cowboys fan. I think they said that Doug has some friends now in the chat, but regardless, I don't think it's a bad pick. I just think that that Tony Pollard really ate a lot in that half change of pace role, 50-50 split with Ezekiel Elliott. And I think without Zeke being there and him being counted on to be the bell cow, that'll be a real issue. All right, 7:45. We are perfectly on time. Let's move to the last question tonight. I love this question. So,
yeah. Dylan, I mean, I don't. Do you want to say that question for me? I don't want to like stumble over my words.
Yeah. So basically, what the question is a lot of the times when you look at NFL offenses, or just the NFL in whole, offense gets a lot of the shine when you look at X factor players, big stars, everything like that. Like, for example, you can go to the store, buy a pack of football cards. You're getting more offensive players, more offensive stars than you're getting defensive cards, just because the offensive players are popular. They make the big moves, they make the big scores, they get the highlights, they do the dances, they have all the fun stuff. But looking at the other side of the ball, defense wins championships. So when you look at X factors onto the defense, what do you think is the most important position when it comes to the defense? And then who are some players who are like at the prime, the top in their position right now in the NFL at that position? So we'll start with Gene on this one.
So I love this question, but I feel like I'm hoping you guys all don't give the same answer, because I think that the answer now in the NFL is edge. It's edge rusher. And I see Kyle put it on the screen already. You have edge rushers and Aaron Donald. Edge rushers. The Micah Parsons, that Joker mentality coming off the edge. Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. You look last year, Hassan Reddick. The top 3 players for Defensive Player of the Year were all edge rushers. The edge rushers are the prime in the NFL. And I think that actually Chris Jones got NFL Defensive Player of the Year consideration, which he shouldn't have been in the top 3. That's okay. I think edge rushers is the answer, though. So I think that, you have Hassan Reddick from the Philadelphia Eagles. You have Micah Parsons, who I think is a generational talent. I don't think you're going to see an edge rusher like him ever again. He's just ridiculous. Guy runs a 4.3 coming off the edge, and he's strong, and he's quick, and he can play the middle. He's smart enough to play the middle. Micah Parsons is the answer. I hate giving a Cowboy credit, but edge rusher and Michael Parsons.
I'm gonna go a different route on the defense. I think I'm gonna go the 2 positions, cornerback and safety, because in this league, you have the quarterbacks like Mahomes, Josh Allen, who can sling the ball. You have the receivers like Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, people who can go down and get it. So you need that position to be able to play deep. Play that middle, kind of like that back up the middle linebacker, that little area, be like a spy. So I think Kyle Hamilton, Sauce Gardner, those positions are really, really important, because you need that deep kind of like that corner safety to protect the deep ball, because you had Tyreek Hill burning these cornerbacks, burning these safeties. You got, I would say Stephon Diggs, because he's having a sissy fit right now, but like Stephon Diggs, those heroes who can go get it, D-Hop. So I think, Gene, I agree. Like that, those are keys. I think that if a team doesn't have a deep ball hawking cornerback, it's not gonna work. So I think that position is more value. It's valued as the same as the defensive back position. This is my opinion.
I think edge rushers and I appreciate your opinion. I just think edge rushers make a cornerback's job so much easier than it should be.
I agree, because they have to get to the cornerback first, So I'm saying, with deep ball quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Mahomes and even Hurts, guys who can sling the ball, and you need those receivers or those cornerbacks and safeties to be there, be ready to I know it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest positions on the field, because you get called for pass interference a lot. But you need those players to play the ball, play the player, play the deep ball. So that's hard. But I agree with you, Gene. If you have a good deep back, it definitely helps the quarterback or the cornerbacks out. But that's kind of how I look at the cornerback, or like Sauce Gardner, Kyle Hamilton.
There's the Ravens talk. There's the Ravens talk.
Yeah,
I knew it was coming, bro.
Marlon Humphrey, even. Hey, he's important.
We look at the cornerbacks like Kyle Hamilton.
I mean, hey, but they play key roles though. So
yeah, Kyle.
I mean, I probably thought you were gonna go linebacker because of Roquan Smith,
Hey,
but
that too, man. That too, bro.
I was actually gonna go cornerback as well because I figured defensive end and edge was gonna be the obvious one. You know, it's a passing league. I feel like the smarter quarterbacks and smarter offensive coaches can necessarily, neutralize some of the great pass rushers if they know what they're doing. Whereas a cornerback, look, if the pass rush doesn't get there and you're out on the island, like you have a lot of ground to cover. A lot of these wide receivers are very shifty. They're, quick and all that. So I was looking at, Sauce Gardner, of course. I mean, up until, he was kind of undressed a little bit last year. Jair Alexander, guys like that. They're important because a lot of times you can draft a guy who you think is going to be a really good edge rusher, and then they kind of fall flat, and that just puts so much pressure on the back end of your defense. So I'm sticking with cornerback, even though I do know the answer is defensive end, because that's obviously the easiest way to stop a great quarterback is to hit him, and your edge rushers are the best at that.
And Jory, Gene called out your running back. Sorry, he missed it.
I don't even think it was blasphemous what Gene said. Derrick Henry's got a lot of miles on his body.
Anything you say about Jory's team, she's going to be defensive. So
First of all, I
feel like she's realistic with her team, though.
And I need to address something you just said, because I think you took a side shot at one of my favorite players in the league, Kyle.
Who?
I need to address something. Did you say that Jair Alexander got undressed last year?
I did say that, then I remembered it was the other way. So
because I remember January 1st, New Year's Day, everyone was talking about Jay Jettas being the best receiver in football.
That's what I was referring to, but I had it backwards. So, yes.
And Jair Alexander said, I'm shutting him down. I'm shutting him down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you some stats from that game because it matters so much to me.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson had 1 reception for 15 yards that game. That's the best cornerback in football right there. Jair. Sorry, my favorite players in the game.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely misspoke on that one. But yes,
you're good, bro. You're good.
He's definitely part of that group. So yes, I will go with the cornerbacks.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, my answer is going to kind of be the favorite. It's going to be edge rushers. I mean, even if you look at recent NFL drafts, outside of quarterbacks, look at the number one position that's been taken that hasn't been a quarterback. It's edge rushers. Rushers. They're so valuable that teams are willing to spend the first overall pick in a draft. You can get any player you want. And if you have a quarterback, teams are going edge rushers. They make so much of a big difference in such a pass-happy league. If you have someone who can get to the quarterback quick, shed off, or just create any sort of pressure to disrupt them, quarterbacks struggle. And that's what makes them so valuable, is a lot of these quarterbacks have issues when it comes to not having a clean pocket. If you have someone who can give them any sort of pressure, give them any sort of trouble, make them rattled in any sense, they struggle. I think edge rushers are so big in a sense. I'm not going to really kind of heavy hit why they're good or bad or anything like that. Obviously, edge rushers have been talked about a lot. Another position I would like to give a little nod to is just linebackers, especially middle linebackers, essentially someone who's looked at as like kind of a field general in a sense, the one that's supposed to be calling out the coverages, picking up the run and the pass, playing on tight ends, sometimes playing on slot receivers, having to pick up outside, inside runs, covering gaps. I think when you look at different middle linebackers in a sense, like people like Bobby Wagner, of course, I'm going to have a little homerism with him, even someone like Fred Warner, different players like that who do so much more than just, tackle. They do other things to help out so many other players on the defense. Just give them a little nod just because they do so many different things when it comes to the football. But overall, cornerback's a good answer, especially in a league where we have a lot of passing going on, of course. Having a shutdown corner is a big thing. I didn't pick cornerbacks because if you look at teams like Kansas City, they don't really have an elite top-tier cornerback, and they just won a Super Bowl. But regardless, I think every defensive position is going to have its up and downs, but I think, just getting a quarterback rattled is really helpful, especially the edge rushers that can play off the run as well.
So you reminded me of a player that I didn't mention in my good to great or my fair to good range because I was just doing all offense. And as soon as you said it, I'm going to say a name Guys, I don't think I've ever been a bigger fan of a player in my life, from college to the pros, and the way he handled himself in the NFL last year, not being able to play. I'm going to give you a name that I think is going to be a household name in 2 years. I think he'll be one of the best linebackers in all football. Yes, you can call me Jordan because this will be a little homerism. But Nakobe Dean, remember the name. That guy is going to start at middle linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And that guy is going to be one of the best linebackers in football. I am so sure of it. And you can call me to the carpet in 2 years from now. This guy's not an all-pro linebacker. I'm telling you, I watched this guy at Georgia. I watched the way he behaved and acted last year, sitting behind TJ Edwards the whole year. When he's like, of course I want to play, but I'm a team player and we're winning games, so it's no time to make a change. I understand. Every single player, Javon Carter, the moment he got drafted, he goes, I get to play with Nakobe Dean again. Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, they all look up to Nakobe Dean. He was the leader of the best college defense that we've seen over the last 20 years in that Georgia Bulldogs team of 2 years ago. Had to bring that up. You brought up linebackers. I couldn't get away from it.
No problem. Give your boy a shout out.
Yeah. No, I think that was a good answer because linebackers they have a lot to do, especially the top tier ones. They may have to cover a tight end. They have to maybe step up and get a running back in the backfield. So I think that was a good call with Warner and those guys as well.
Yeah, even with Nakobe Dean, he was looked at as a steal when the Eagles got him as well too. So he's definitely someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gentlemen, it is 7:56. I'm going to ask all three of you guys, if you have any final comments tonight before we listen to my man, Doug. And by the way, me and Doug were talking earlier. We got a little thing that we're working on. It's East meets West, Philly to Dallas. We're thinking about doing a little podcast, Eagles versus Cowboys. But my man Doug hops on next. Kyle, any final thoughts tonight?
I mean, the only thing I'll say is I'm still thinking about that Joe Ingles. I feel like I need to redeem myself. I'm going to throw out a name out there. Terrence Ross is a guy off the bench who can get you, 12 to 15, good scorer. I think he'll contribute next year. I know Dylan hated the Joe Ingles, and I couldn't let that slide. So that's all I got.
I love it. That's all right. Dylan, any final comments tonight?
I mean, outside of, had a good NBA draft filled with some good moments. I felt like it was good overall. I feel like a lot of teams got some good picks in. Get ready for this. Hopefully a wild NBA free agency. Hopefully we see some players moved. Just waiting now. It's just baseball season. Got to wait for that college football to kick off again.
Yep.
Mr. Laker, Mr. Yankee, Mr. Raven, Mr. Dookie, Mr. Alabama football. Any final comments?
No, it was a good show. I'm excited to see the NBA free agency unravel. I know we got summer league coming up like mid-July, late July, into August, I think. I'm excited about that. But yeah, it was a good show, good content. Keep it short. And yeah, Sabino's a Cowboys fan, so.
All right, well, I'm in a hotel room away from work. I apologize once again about the audio and the look. I hope we brought y'all a good show. This is the Cheap Seats Podcast. We are Sports Empire Network. I'm Gene Walzak. That's the Prince of Production, Kyle Edwards. We got Dylan Reed on the ones and twos and Jordan, Big J, Jean-Louis. We are signing out.
Nice night, guys.
See you guys.
Yeah.